So, I have seen a lot of videos about cults and online video games. Oftentimes, when I watch these videos, they seem, well, sometimes just sensationalism. Worlds.com is a great example of people thinking there is a cult, but it was really just a guy having fun. So, what is the definition of a cult? A relatively small group of people having beliefs or practices, especially relating to religion, that are regarded by others as strange or sinister, or as imposing excessive control over members. There are other definitions, but this is the one we will use. These days, people throw around the word cult to groups they do not like or understand. We will have a checklist, though, that will cover what to look for in a potential cult. Extreme devotion to a leader or belief. Absolute authority over members, control over members' lives, isolation from the outside world, exploitation, and manipulation. These 6 will be the main checklist, but if there are other notable things, we will write them down. Now, the group I'll be looking into today is based on a game called Second Life. In short, Second Life is a social MMO where you can create your own character however you want, while also being able to make your own buildings and scenery. Cults in Second Life have been discussed for years, however, every single one I see and hear are pretty much nonsense. However, I do know of one group that treads the line. The group in question is the Conejo Island community. They are a bit strange but interesting. Now, do they look like a cult? For sure, without a doubt they do. However, are they actually a cult? Well, I think it is highly unlikely, but they sure do blur the line. However, let's cover them and see if they fit the checklist. So what is Koneo? Well, it's an anime and furry group of creative individuals who are into all sorts of art forms. From what I could tell, they make music, drawings, paintings, and visual novels, and more than likely even more forms of art. I have encountered people from this group a few times in the past. Each and every one of them I have met have been wonderful and kind people. None of them acted like Conejo was a cult, but just a fun artistic group. The footage in the background in this section is of their island. As you can see, it is unique. They even have free gifts for people who stop by and visit the island. Nothing really too big, just neat little items like hair and some anime faces. Now, would I say these people are dangerous? No, not at all actually. Coneo Island is a bit odd in another way. You see, in Second Life you can have your land be searchable in the built-in search engine. However, Coneo is not in the search at all. Maybe it was at some point in the past, but currently it is not. So how people find the place is by happenstance or a member suggesting they visit. I think this might be by design to again have that cult-like feel. Most of their events even have memes plastered all over. So if it's a group of people just making art and memes, why do I question it to be a cult or adjacent to one? Well, this is where things got a little complicated. About a year or so ago, they moved to a full region in Second Life. Previously, they were just on the mainland. However, they had an opening ceremony that, well, was kind of cultish. I ended up watching it on a YouTube video that someone shared. That video is sadly deleted along with the channel. Well, I had considered the video to just be lost media. I checked the Wayback Machine countless times. However, for some reason or another, a new capture of the YouTube video was added. There were 2 others, but the videos in them never loaded. However, this one did. In the video, they are baptizing members of the community as we see the person behind the video being baptized first. They jump into this red liquid which might be blood, staying there for a few seconds before jumping out. Then they are hit in the head with a spiked mace by Sofa, the leader. People then cheer in the audience for a bit and then they move on to the next person. This video is, well, bizarre to say the least, but it's just this for 22 minutes. Sofa in the text chat even describes what they are doing. This is, well, like a cult. However, let's move on to their websites. On screen is their website, which is kind of retro. However, I find this website charming in my opinion. If you click the About button, it leads to this, which is interesting. If you try to make sense of a lot of their stuff, you'll be left with more questions than answers most of the time. Sofa, also known as Wafa, is the leader of Koneo Island. There are other figures who are leaders of some kind, like Nezu, who are listed as such on their Twitter page. On the website, you can find more info which links to their place in Second Life and other affiliated places also in Second Life. We will explore those in just a bit though. They also have an IRC channel, which is interesting for 2026. This just shows their love for the old internet. Now, for them to be using IRC over, let's say, Discord does show a lot of the hobby aspect that they have for the old internet and perhaps to keep old trends alive. Even in Second Life, the objects they use could easily be considered outdated and old looking. On the site, they even have an events page. This was taken in October of 2025, back when I started this project, so all of these are long gone and done. Shown here is a little event they hosted in July, which had a good turnout. They are quite active with various activities. However, how people find out about them is still a mystery. So who is Sofa? Well, they labeled themselves as the ultimate virtual priestess in Second Life. Throughout the island, scattered about is art of their character. Some are suitable for work, while others not so much, so I will have to blur them out. They also DJ and perhaps make music of their own, but I'm not entirely sure. I see Sofa and Nezu have produced an album before, but sadly the link board is defunct. They often host events on the island, which most of the time involves music. Shown here is the Sofa Diary website. This site is, well, interesting to say the least. In their About page, they say this about themselves and why they write the online diary. It reads as follows. Another purpose the diary has is archiving the beauty of Second Life. There is not enough out there that frames Second Life as the beautiful place it is, which honestly I find charming in its own way. Throughout the blog, they share their experiences in Second Life, which is honestly very wholesome to see. The more I look into them, the more I grow to respect them and value what they actually bring to the internet. Their website has multiple areas you can visit and explore, some of which are confusing, like this RGB Paul universe. They or someone even made a visual novel which they sell on itch.io. Although there are two games connected to Koneo. I am not fully sure if both are made by Sofa or if it's made by someone else, but on screen is the other one. The games look uncanny as heck. Throughout the site are various amounts of artwork which are in the style of Koneo Island, which some are, again, something I cannot really show on YouTube as it shows nudity and gore. When I was going through these sites, I felt like I went back in time. The styles are older and different to what we are used to on modern day websites. They even made a Second Life beginner's guide, which is honestly really kind and charming to see. I do question how a beginner to Second Life would even stumble upon Koneo Island. Sofa has a Tumblr account, a Blue Sky account, Ko-fi, and even a Patreon account. They clearly have fans, and yes, I am calling them fans and not followers. By now, you can see a person who is passionately into the various forms of art. It's wonderful to see a person like this online. Now, did Sofa on purpose make Koneo Island seem like a cult? Hard to say, but I would say yes. Clearly, Sofa is just an artistic person who celebrates the arts by even having a VN competition as shown on screen. Now, I thought about diving into Sofa deeper, like going through their personal Twitter, but honestly, that felt weird to me. I looked through it a little bit, and they seem like a fairly normal person. They are a nice person, though, who seems to have made a nice little community, even if it seems a little cultish. So, the footage in the background has been of Koneo Island. I would like to finally focus on it for a bit. This is how it views on a map. Each location does actually correlate with something, so it's actually readable. When you teleport in, it starts out with the nice welcome center, which is cute. Throughout the welcome center are links to the website. There are a few bars and cafes you have seen already in the background. I want to highlight their event area. It's simple, but it is also a bit off. I'm not sure why I feel that way either. In one of the videos I mentioned, the video that went missing took place here. But let's move on to the castle. It's an interesting place, that's for certain. Inside are some questionable artwork, a music room, and a room for meetings. Even leads into their gift shop. Now this face teleported me to the highlight of the island, which is the temple. In the middle is a ziggurat looking place, and at the top you can fall into, and yeah, this is a little weird now, isn't it? Exploring, I found various places in the temple, although they are quite odd and interesting at times. The temple ends with an odd little area, but it's still kind of intriguing. It does seem like a cult-like aesthetic they have going on. Onto the people around Koneo and the associated places. Nezu is one of their admins. Seems fairly similar to Sofa in their interest. They often DJ for events at the island. Not really much to say about them other than they have their own website as well. Koneo does have other links for groups on their website. The Stomping Ground link I think is defunct, which I think was for OpenSim. Boo World is another place in Second Life, but just seemed to be filled with memes. They also have an art gallery, which I cannot really show for the same reasons as Koneo. Scrimblow World was a store in Second Life that just sold everything and anything. When I went to it, my first thought was, yeah, I can see how this is connected to Koneo. So, Koneo Island. Are they actually a cult? No, but it seems they like to pretend they are or portray themselves a bit like one. Let's go over our list though. Extreme devotion to a leader or belief. This one is a maybe. I would say more of a belief, but this is not a religion or anything, I think. Absolute authority over members. This one is a no. I have met with several members and they are all normal people. None of them even try to recruit me or anything. Control over people's lives. Also no. Isolation from the outside world. I found no evidence of this. Exploitation. As far as I could tell, no. Sofa does have a Patreon and Ko-fi, but that's the closest that would fit it. Manipulation. I would also say no. So, only a maybe 1 out of 6. Sofa does have fans, but does that make them into a cult leader? No, it does not. You can say they perhaps have a cult-like following, but they do not really do anything on the checklist to them. I had thought of trying to interview Sofa, but when I visited the island, they were in the process of moving and it seemed to be a rough one, so I opted not to. The Koneo people are just creative individuals who love various forms of art. The people I have met from Koneo barely even mention it at all. Now, is this place odd? Oh yes, very much so. It is unlike anything you will ever see in Second Life. I wish I had footage of their old place, as it had buildings and shrines that seem to be absent from the new area. However, these people are just really cool. Honestly, writing and talking about them has been a wonderful experience as I truly feel they are good people. And while they might not actually be a true cult, they do portray themselves like one a bit. So, closing this investigation. So, are there any other cult-like groups in Second Life? Yes and no. You see, there are a lot of roleplay groups in Second Life, and some of them have fictional cults. Do those count? No, of course not. It's just fiction after all. There are religious groups in Second Life, mostly with Christianity and a bit of Satanism, although not sure how far the latter takes it. There is a group on Second Life about Scientology, but it's hard to see if it's just a gag or the real thing. There are, of course, users who prey upon vulnerable people, but again, that does not really make them a cult. They are just predators and exploiters. Although, all this being said, there is a conspiracy of a cult in Second Life called the Fated Inner Core. Now, is this actually real? More than likely not, but let's cover it as a little bonus. The theory is that this group has ties to Linden Labs. Having certain creators have a higher advantage over those who do not have ties to the group. Since Second Life does have a conversion rate to real-life money, it became a theory. Linden Labs does show favor to some creators, which gives this theory some credit. Now, do I believe this cult exists? Not really. There are symbols people have created for the theory, but so far, most of it seems to have been a joke. Now, are there creators that have favor with Linden Labs? I mean, yeah, kind of. However, this does not mean it's some secret cult. So, are there cults in Second Life? Not really, as the closest thing I have seen is just some people having fun messing with old technology and making art. The conspiracy theories are something else, but they can hardly be taken seriously. There could be some small groups that no one really knows about, but those could be anywhere really. So, while we did not find an actual cult in Second Life, perhaps we should turn our gaze elsewhere. Please stay tuned for the next video of investigating cults, where the line of it actually being a cult is really blurry with the next group. However, this is the end of the video, so best wishes for everyone till next time and take care.